Recently, we verified that the DeepSeek v4 Flash model hit an exact 82.7. If 9 points of accuracy can be bought for $15, then the terminal bench leaderboard is measuring a combination of the model and its harness, and the harness is the cheaper component to optimize. If you want to track how technical anomalies like this are quietly rewriting the leaderboards, hit subscribe as we decode them in real time. Scaffolding is emerging as a distinct axis for improvement, shifting how labs can approach agent performance without the cost of a full training run. This diagram contrasts two execution models. On the left is a standard bare model loop, which relies on the model to self-correct. On the right, StateM operates as an agent-native runtime that intercepts and manages the AI's execution steps. The authors call this harness scaling. The goal is to improve an agent's success rate by scaling the complexity of the scaffolding rather than retraining the weights of the model itself. Data routes through specific architectural pillars. First, durable states prevent the model from losing track of variables over long horizons. Second, phase local context ensures relevant information stays active exactly when the agent needs it. Then come the safeguards. Checked transitions enforce strict rules before the agent can advance, and recoverable runbooks apply lessons from previous failures to redirect the model when it goes off track. These runbooks are compiled directly from postmortem findings. When an agent fails, the failure analysis translates into hard-coded, executable runtime checks. It is not just added as extra text in a prompt. When running inside this specific new architecture, the flagship GPT-5.6 Sol xhigh hits the 95.3% accuracy mark across 445 trials. By making learned controls explicit and enforceable through strict state machine mechanics, StateM targets reliability gaps that occur when a model is expected to simply remember complex instructions. Is that 95.3% specific to the architecture of GPT-5.6? Or is the harness doing the heavy lifting? The answer lies in cross-model transferability. This chart compares benchmark scores across different configurations. It starts with a bare GPT-5.6 Luna, the small budget model of the family, sitting at 76.7%. When the frozen StateM runbook and profile are applied to Luna, its score jumps to 85.4%. That pushes a budget model above the 84.9% baseline of the flagship Sol xhigh model. The exact same runtime and golden rules were then ported to the open-weight DeepSeek v4 Flash. That adaptation cost less than $38.
With the harness attached, DeepSeek moves from an 82.7% baseline to 88.1% under standard timeouts. By extending the timeout for just one latency-sensitive task, the DeepSeek setup matches the 88.8% maximum result of the bare GPT-5.6 model. The total DeepSeek API expenditure for this entire test was $52.22. Seeing a commodity-priced open model outscore a flagship's bare reference suggests that model versus model comparisons are difficult to interpret if the harness isn't held fixed. While the price tag is enticing, there are two major production catches for builders wanting to use this. First, runbooks require a corpus of your own agent's failures on your specific workload. There is nothing to compile until your system has already broken. StateM is a week 2 tool, not a day 1 tool. You have to fail first to build the executable rules. Second, the checked transitions and preconditions rely entirely on verifiable endstates. A terminal task with a strict, verifiable success state works well. An open-ended customer support ticket with a subjective resolution does not. Harness scaling is highly effective, provided the work is structured enough that its procedure can be logically written down and enforced. The headline metrics are impressive, but the paper's own abstract reveals a softer statistical truth. The 95.3% raw accuracy was recorded over 445 trials across 89 tasks. That averages to 5 attempts per task. Because the system succeeds on all tasks at least once, this 95.3% is a best of 5 claim, not a definitive first-try pass rate. The paper never states a single run pass rate for the 95.3% configuration. Because we do not know if baseline reference figures were calculated using a best of 5 method, we cannot verify if the comparison is truly like for like. If the reference metrics were single-run numbers, the true performance gap is significantly smaller than the headline implies. The second caveat is the limit of generalization.
The authors note that these concrete rules only truly generalized when the tasks share a specific execution structure. The business bench protocol is the only true held-out test mentioned in the abstract to measure how these rules perform on novel tasks. This graph plots performance gains on novel tasks. When family-specific runbooks were applied to new execution structures, they yielded gains of roughly 1 point. That contrasts with the 10.04-point gain achieved when the tasks matched the runbook-specific mechanisms. StateM scored its 95.3% accuracy on the exact same data distribution that it originally mined its rules from. When the execution structure doesn't match, evidence suggests the harness is worth about a single point. To definitively validate these findings, an independent third party must run the frozen StateM profile on a completely unseen task suite. As that test maintains several points of gain on novel failures, harness scaling is confirmed as a general axis of progress. If the result drops to a 1-point gain, the statement claim is reduced to benchmark-specific tuning. We should also monitor the maintainers of Terminal Bench for changes to their evaluation protocols. If a benchmark introduces a harness disclosure rule or a fixed harness track, it marks a shift toward measuring the entire execution system rather than just the model weights.